Turn to your left, turn to your right, shake the hand of the person next to you, tell them they're handsome and good looking, and thank you for coming today. Okay, gang, there's a method to my madness, and it's this. I read in Men's Health magazine, this is the absolute truth, honest to God, okay? So women, if you're sitting next to a man, take a good look, okay? Because it could be your husband, I think. Here it is. They asked men, they said, men, tell us this truthfully. How many of you think you're really good looking? Good news for you single ladies. 80% of all men are good looking. They're just not here today. I guess that goes against the likability factor, so I apologize. It's March 30th, 1981. Ronald Reagan is the newly elected president of the United States. And he's giving a speech at the Capitol Hill Hilton Hotel. It's on Connecticut Avenue, not too far from the White House. The security at that time is remarkably different than it is today. It was just a red tapestry rope. And all of the press stood outside that rope, so when the president came outside the door, you could literally just reach out and touch him. So as he came outside, people began to ask him questions, and he turned and he looked as he was getting into the limousine, and all of a sudden you heard pop, 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 pop. And everybody went down. They pushed Reagan into the car. The Secret Service guy landed on top of him. They closed the door, and off the car went. The limousine was the kind of limousine where one person sits here, the other sits here, and they look at each other. And as they did, the Secret Service agent looked at Reagan, and he said, "Get him to the White House." And so they sped off to the White House, just down the street. And Reagan started to breathe very laboriously. And the Secret Service agent tried to think in his mind, what happened? What happened? He looked down, he saw the tire well in the car, and he thought, okay, he cracked a rib. He fell on the car. He fell on the tire wheel. And when he did, I fell on top of him. And so as they went off to the White House, all of a sudden Reagan began to cough. And he coughed up blood. And then all of a sudden the Secret Service agent thought to himself, oh my God, here I am, the last person with the President of the United States, and he might die. They said, get him to the hospital. Get him to George Washington Hospital. It's the fastest and closest hospital. So off they sped. At this time, across the wires it went. Perhaps the President of the United States had been shot and killed. All the doctors were standing outside the emergency room waiting. The press had congregated over there. People were all standing around waiting. The limousine pulls up. Reagan's in the back of the car. The Secret Service opens the door, hops out, reaches in to grab the President of the United States. He pushes him away, pulls up his pants, and buttons his jacket. And then steps out of the limousine and stands there. Not a word is spoken, but the message is loud and clear. America is alive, it is well, we are stable. He turned and he walked through the doors, and as he closed, the doors closed behind him, down he went. We know now in retrospect that Reagan almost died. But see, he understood something 20, 30 years ago that so few of us understood at that time. He was so far ahead of his time. He understood the power of the personal brand. You see, the power of the personal brand, a lot of times, as Gary said, has nothing to do with what you say. It's the message you are projecting. And I want to spend time with you here today, and I want to give you some concrete tools that you can immediately walk out of here and be better at. Okay? But let me tell you right now, I'm going to share a story with you. I usually share it towards the end, but I'm going to do it right up front because it's critically important to me. Okay? I'm going to give you the greatest gift I could possibly give you. And I wish that I had it because I didn't have it till I was 35 years old. Till I was 35 years old. And this is it. Don't let professional arrogance get in your way. Don't let it get in your way. Because I did until I was 35 years old. I was 35 years old living down the street here in Hollywood. And I don't have a rags to riches story. I just have a stupid to smart story. You see? And I was walking in Hollywood on Franklin Avenue. And I was 35 years old, and I had a project that I was invested in, and it almost went bankrupt. And I thought to myself, I'm 35 years old, I'm a graduate of Georgetown Law School. At 26 years old, I was a city councilman. I was living on $50 a week spending money. I was driving a Jetta. It was falling apart. Some guy said to me, hey, dude, what do they do? Stealing your car one piece at a time? Okay? I mean, I'm serious. It was unbelievable. Okay? And so as I'm standing there, I thought to myself, this isn't what I wanted for myself. This is not what I envisioned for myself. I was 35 years old, and I seemed to have gone 15 steps backward. You know why? Because I was the smartest man in the world. That's why. I'll give you a story of what I'm talking about. There's a friend of mine named John O'Callaghan, super duper guy, great pal of mine. He says, Tim, I have my brother-in-law. He's a great guy. He runs a big company up in Northern California. I'd like you to go up and work with him. I'm going to introduce you to him. I said, John, that would be awesome. Would you do that for me? He said, sure. He calls him up on the phone. He says, hey, George, guess what? I got this super guy. I'm telling you, you should work with him. He can really help you out. He can make your company great. He can make you great. His comment back was, how many Fortune 500 companies does he run? So John came back and said, Timmy wants to know how many Fortune 500 companies you run. Well, I was only 36, so not very many. So I said, tell him, does he know that Tiger Woods' golfing coach is not a scratch golfer and he's never won a major tournament? He said, okay. So he went over and he said, hey, Tim wants you to know, did you know Tiger Woods' coach is not a scratch golfer, he's never won a major tournament? The guy come back and said, who's his Tiger Woods? So he came back and he said, who's your Tiger Woods? And I said, just tell him this. There's no limit to what a man can achieve if he can overcome his professional arrogance. And I left it at that. And I walked away. But see, that was the greatest lesson I ever had, because what a shame it is to be the smartest person in the world. When Gary is speaking, when I'm speaking, the other people are speaking today, you should be taking copious notes. Why? Because we've been where you have. See, you can't skip steps. You don't come out of the womb awesome. Right? You don't come out of, well, your mother thinks you do, but you don't come out of the womb awesome. Okay? I am telling you right now, anybody in this room think I'm a good public speaker so far? Okay? And I'm not looking for compliments, okay? I'm not looking for compliments. I've been doing it a long time, so even if you don't think so, I deluded myself into thinking I am. I can remember, in sophomore year in high school, Mrs. Neville's class, I was so frightened to public speak that I was going to cut class, and I was a goody two-shoes little sissy. I'd never cut class, right? But I was so frightened because I had to give a speech. I mean, it was unbelievable. I remember when I decided I want to be a public speaker, to speak to audiences like this, I was giving speeches at the Rotary Club. And what they do at the Rotary Club when you're giving a speech, I was in San Pedro, and I can remember being just like Richard Nixon, beads of sweat coming down my face. I was like, oh my God. And at the end of the speech, what they do is they kind of ring a bell, or they give you the signal, like when you're done, the moderator gets up and sort of stands next to you to quietly say, sit down. I mean, my reaction was, what took you so long? But I remember, me, it was like hot dogs being made. It was ugly. But see, here's the key. I mean it. I mean it. I mean it. Here's the key. Here's the key. You can't skip steps. So do me a favor, if you can possibly do it, pray to God that you sitting there are the stupidest person in this room and everybody here is a genius. That's what you want. That's what you're here for. I mean, I hope I come up to you. I mean, Gary, right? Gary here. Look at I have a pad thing here I brought here, okay? Where is it? I got it right here, right? See? Gary's talking. I got this here. I've taken 4 pages, or my little pages here of notes, because he's got information I don't have. How sad it would have been had I been sitting here thinking, I know all this stuff. See how sad it would have been? So that's what I want to do. I want to set the tone, and let's jump in and let's get to work, okay? The PowerPoint's not too hot. It doesn't really reflect my brand, so we're going to let it go, okay? Here's the key, all right? Here's the key. What is a personal brand? What is a personal brand? Anybody?
Something that stands out.
Something that stands out. Tony. Money. Money's a personal brand. Your message. Okay. Who you are. All good. But let me tell you what it really is. And write this down. Write this down. Okay? And it's this. It's an identity that stimulates a meaningful emotional reaction in your target audience about the qualities and values for which you stand. Do you understand those 3 parts? So you better start to say to yourself, what's the identity that I want? As Gary said to you, interesting, tell me more. Am I interested because I am emotionally involved in you? And what are the qualities or values for which you stand? What is the promise that I get? That's what a brand is. Now, in a word or phrase, that's what you want to do. You want to come up with the word or phrase that you want people to think of when they think of you.